Okay. LASIK
Felt
with
sorry
those
for her.
fingers instead.
Judy, and she came in.
I want to see that one for about 3
My
or 5
husband
years before I
lost
think
his
about that.
cool.
I swear, it's like somebody.
She knows
just
him
flipped
well
the
enough to
switch.
know.
Your eyes are bad.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
Yeah, it's 45.
I'd like to call this meeting to order with appropriate notice that was given, meeting duly called. If you would please stand with the NJROTC to do the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now, if you'd like to tell us who you are, please and thank you.
Hi, I'm Lieutenant Commander Marissa Broomstra. I've been in the unit for 4 years. I'm Lieutenant Junior Grade Kristen Eddings. I've been in for 3 years. I don't know if y'all heard, but 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks ago, we had the greatest opportunity to go and witness the USS McCool commissioning, and we also we went and visited the USS Alabama and USS Drum and went to the Aviation Museum, and it was a really good opportunity for our first
Wow.
year cadets. And then upcoming, we're going to New Orleans in Louisiana for our first drill meet, Tulane. And basically all of our teams will be competing there, and we have a new JV team that will be competing that we're trying to get a lot of people to get in so we can work the bench and not have to restart every year with our drill teams. And then December 7th, the christening of the USS Arkansas is happening. We're hosting the color guard for that, and if Mr. Booth gets our military flight, then we want to fill up the plane and take as many people with us.
We're working on it.
Where will that be held?
That
West Virginia?
No, Norfolk
okay.
News in Virginia.
Okay.
Big shipyards.
You want to tell us? School going well?
Very well.
Good.
A lot of drill meets, a lot of practicing. Really hoping to do well this year.
Very
We're
good.
doing a lot for years.
How many participants we have?
Uh,
Guessing. I'm going to put you on the spot.
More than 100. Yes.
Very good. Thank you.
That's a good second.
118. That's pretty good numbers.
A lot of people very excited, very interested. A lot of the first years are doing really well. Showing up to practices, getting involved in teams.
Very good. Thank you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
You don't have to leave. You can stay. Come on, we got some good food later. All right, thank you. Presentation for, I'll let you do that.
All right,
Our-
so we're going to start. I'll take a picture.
Okay.
We're going to start with a certificate of recognition to Mr. Tom Chetnick. Many of you know that Mr. Tom Chetnick was recently awarded 24 Arkansas Bandmaster of the Year. And that is
Now I used to go teach.
so tomorrow night, first run through of the
Second.
second poll.
But we've had, no, not the whole thing, but part of it.
Compete this weekend? and
No,
then
next week.
Next weekend.
Oh, what's really cool about this, it was 30 years, Mr. Robert Nelson, 1994. He received the same award,
Yeah.
so that was really special, really neat.
That's
Thank
special.
you.
Thanks. You make us look good.
So this next certificate is awarded to Mr. Josh Fulcher, Coach Fulcher, in honor of his recent recognition as the 2024 Shape Arkansas Adaptive PE Teacher of the Year. And I'll tell a little story. So Ms. Crawford came in my office today and she said, tonight when you present this, I want to tell you something. She said, yesterday, we took a group of special education students, and I say we, Ms. Benton, took a group of special education students to practice for Special Olympics bowling. And Coach Fulcher got the bus, gets the kids on the bus, had his service learners, is that right? Organized the students and spent the morning working with those students. So this is the real deal. And Coach Fulcher, thank you for the work you do with our special students. have
Thank you for your
anything to
time.
share?
No, just want to say I appreciate your time. Thank you to admin, school board for your service to our community, all admin. Would like to say, I'm thankful to Ms. Russell for nominating me for this award. She must have said some really good things, but at least feeling that I was deserving of this award. But anytime you win anything, it's just kind of a reflection of all the people you work with. So I'm blessed to have an awesome administration, the teachers that I work with, the paraprofessionals, and even our service learning students come in second block. It's a pretty cool thing to see on a daily basis. So I just get to tag along and be a part of it. But thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Josh. Okay, can I have an approval of the agenda and minutes of the August 15th, 2024 and August 21st, 2024 meetings?
I move we approve the agenda and the minutes of August 15th and August 21st, 2024 meetings.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Unanimous, thank you. All right, we have academic reports from Miss Judy Lawrence. Hello.
Hello?
It's good to see everyone. We are going to talk to you a little bit tonight about some changes in the screening for our students for our State Department. So most of you know that we've done dibbles, I feel like, forever and ever. Due to some changes from the State Department, we are now giving our K-3 students what's called a universal screener. And the data that we will be getting from that will, in essence, replace what we've always gotten from dibbles. It is a much different process. They're a different process than what we're used to. They're going to also be giving what we call testlets through the universal screener. And we're very excited about this, except the data is not coming to us until October. And that's why we aren't presenting to you dibbles data tonight or universal screener results. We do not have them yet. So the process is going to eventually be wonderful for our teachers and our students. Ms. Camp's going to come up and kind of explain a little bit more about the screener. We actually got to see it given in the classrooms, the information, and well, it's different. They actually, for a lot of it, wear headsets. And they're speaking, it's all on the Chromebooks or iPads, and the students are speaking into their computers for this testing piece. And the teachers are mixed on that. They like to read one-on-one with their students for that, especially that beginning of year data. And I will tell you the teachers are feeling very, what I would call data poor right now, because we usually have just a high volume of really good data on our students by the end of September. We have our iReady diagnostic, which is still in place. We're used to having dibbles, and we're used to having NWA MAP for K-12. MAP is still in 6-12, but because of all the changes this year and the Atlas interims and screeners, we chose not to do, and y'all will remember, we chose not to do NWA MAP for K-5. So with all that being said, we're in a little bit of a hold and wait until we can get some data. And our teachers are so great. They are using, they're using some paper dibbles. We saved all the information. You just have to give it on paper. So a lot of our teachers are still doing that, still doing a lot of tried and true screeners they've used for years, still doing our common formative assessments in the classrooms. It's just not it just doesn't look the same. So this is going to be really a year to analyze what we think about this. Do we feel like this tool is going to give us what we need? The state promises it will. And I'm going to let Becca take over and kind of let you see some pieces of what it actually looks like.
So cross your fingers, the airplane stays, because you're actually going to see. So this has been yet another link in the Atlas roller coaster of things that we learn, and you'll see as we go through, but our teachers have been amazing. Taking a product that we've never seen and going through it and having a kindergartner log in and take these screeners, like, they've done a great job. So they do have the opportunity to test in a small group, and the window is pretty large, so that most teachers have chosen to only assess 3 to 4 students at one time, which is great because the kids do have to talk. It looks like little robot guys when they're going in. Like letter naming is one of the examples, so it pops up the letter on the screen and they have to say what letter it is and it moves on. The great thing for this is it all ties into Learns, and it will all be in a nice package with a bow on the top. Everything is in one place, including the Parent Center that will be rolled out as we start getting assessment data. So parents will be able to see and track their kids' progress from year to year, and it stays with the kid as long as they stay in the state of Arkansas. So if we get a kid from Cotter, we're going to get this data with them immediately. So there's 3 components to this universal screener. The screener, which is what lane we are in now, and based on those screener results, the system will assign what's called testlets, which is basically a sub-test of a very specific skill. So let's say a kindergarten student was not proficient in letter naming. Then the Atlas system is going to assign different progress monitoring pieces for that teacher so they don't have to go reach and pull and dig. It's all in one place. And it also creates an individual reading plan, which will eventually, I see, take the place of our SSPs, if you've heard those letters before. But it's an in-depth snapshot of a kid's progress, how the teacher is addressing those deficiencies from year to year. So I didn't purposely make these look like speedometers, and now it went away. But I think it's pretty relevant because it has been NASCAR since day one. But our lowest completion rate right now in a building is 92%, which is excellent. And that is at the kindergarten level, which is the literacy screener, which is much longer than the state anticipated it being. The state has listened, they're modifying, it will be fixed for next year. But on average, it's taking a kindergarten kid about 30 to 40 minutes to complete those screeners. So that's a long time for a kiddo. So super proud of our buildings and how committed they are to getting these done. Our deadline is actually next Friday. So the fact that we are already well beyond our threshold of what has to happen makes me exhale a little bit in looking at that. I want it to work for you.
We have it.
We have it. Just say next slide.
Okay, so next slide, if you look at that red link, that is called the MH blueprint, our blueprints. If you look at those, it is basically a snapshot for teachers to be able to see what is going to be assessed on the summative. So a teacher has that at the beginning of the year. It is in, all the teachers have a copy of this slideshow that they save in their drive, so they can reference that throughout the year to see what skills, what standards are going to be assessed, and how often it's going to be assessed. So with the testlets, I'm not going to read everything on this next slide, but just know this is that transition year for Atlas. So our first guidance for testlets will be in October. I do think we will be creating those on our own, and we will learn what it is when they show up. But it is just a way to progress monitor these kids as we move through. Next year, the testlets will be auto-assigned within Atlas. The next slide is what would happen if a child scored below proficiency. I just pulled phonemic awareness. So you can tell in looking at that slide, it gives them very specific. If it's a kindergarten kid, here's what you do. If it's a grade 1 or 2 kid, here's what you do. And all of these bars that are on the white area match up to what teachers usually see on Dibbles. If you're like me and you look at this and you go, I don't know what this means, our K-3 teachers 100% know what this means. Very targeted data for our kids to be able to improve comprehension. The next slide is a sample individual reading plan. I just wanted you to see what it would look like. And then I'm going to try to airplay one more time because I want you to see a couple of questions on the screener. No, so you can. I'll send you instructions if you're just so inclined to go look at the screener. But it is fascinating what we are asking our kiddos to do. I have giggled a lot at some of the questions. I was like, I don't know what these are, but obviously since AirPlay's not working, not going to be able to show you that. So excited about where we are in the process so far, and moving through. What the state is asking us to do. Our staff is knocking it out of the park with being able to embrace this and move on and know that right now we're in a transition, but it's going to get better every day.
And K2 also did a math component of the screener as well. Third grade did not, but K2 did. So again, we don't know why they did K2 and not 3 when they did K3 for literacy, but that's okay. We're just doing what they tell us to do. So it is going to be great.
You feel good about it?
We are trying to stay,
Very
what
folk,
we've
very.
seen has been good.
Okay,
We are ready to see more.
yeah.
And I can tell you, our classroom teachers, October feels very late, to really start seeing that beginning
Yeah.
of year piece for them. And, we have parent-teacher conferences.
Mhm.
They really like to have a lot
Sure.
of information ready for the parents. So it feels like
Rushed.
they're having to wait too long. So,
Yeah. Or right, yeah.
that's what we're hoping as they get all these pieces rolled out. Next year, it'll start falling more in line with what we're used to. We would hope to have, the screener and the testlets, all of that completed, by the end of September at least. And then that way we can start seeing what our kids are needing and be ready to talk to parents about those things. So,
I would say I feel great about what's in our circle of control.
Right,
We
yeah.
have done an excellent job as a district preparing our teachers to walk into a whole new platform and figure it out together. I've learned lots. I've walked many miles. I wear tennis shoes to work every day. But the things that are in our circle of control, we've done a great job with.
and it will say very well with the actual state assessment atlas. That's the whole point. This is setting them up
Right.
for that
A
platform.
precursor.
I'll tell you, our teachers are reaching out to the department with suggestions. So if they see something that they feel like that isn't gonna work for a kindergartner, they're letting them know. And I honestly believe that they are accepting and acting upon the feedback that our folks in the classrooms are giving. So that, I do want you to know that they're speaking up.
And we do say the headsets, they are only used for screening. They're precious.
Called it Headphone Gate
Yeah,
2.0.
so they are taking good care of them.
The state department has been amazing to work with. I have a data Zoom with ADE tomorrow and with the UPAR data director, which is another component to a screener. They're listening. They said, hey, you've got ideas, we want to hear. So they are listening. They're welcoming feedback. It's no longer the I gotcha kind of a situation with assessment that I think it used to be. They are super excited that we're getting to build our own assessment program in the state of Arkansas.
Very good. Any
So we'll have
further?
more information later, maybe.
All right.
We'll give it to you.
Next
soon as we
month.
have it.
Thank you.
Thank you,
The
Sharon.
presentation itself, and of course, we could see it. The audience couldn't see it. Can that be made available?
It is,
Okay.
it's attached to the agenda, and so the
Yes.
agenda is already on the website, so that is available there, just for
Okay.
the click. Yes, sir.
All right, financial reports, Miss Donna Harper.
And I do apologize, this is happening all over the district today. Mr. Mendelewski sent out an email, it was an update, and something's not clicking. So I was afraid that this might happen, and it did.
It happens.
So, I apologize.
What did we do before computers?
Abacus.
Much easier.
Pencils.
Oh, we're on. Okay, maybe.
Maybe it was those batteries in there. That did it. Good job. That was an easy fix.
Okay, Ms. Harper.
Okay, so the first report is a statement of changes in the fund balance. And the bottom line there is $14,428,039. And I compared that to where we were at this point last year. And we're about $41,000 more in the balance there. And if you look down the beginning balance column, you'll see several negatives on that. The ones down in your Fund 6s are your accruals. At the end of the year, we have to accrue the revenue because we don't receive it until this month. September, we'll be receiving it. And so those are what those negatives are for. And then the other negatives are, we haven't started receiving some of our funding. So that's why you have negatives in the beginning balances there. So do you have any questions on that page?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Going to the next page, we took out the percentages that was on this page because they had negatives this month, and we didn't think that showed a true picture, and it might be confusing to folks. So we took those out. We have the budget in there now. We had left this page off in July because we didn't have the budget posted yet. We have the budget in there now, and you'll see that the budget is $46,718,038 is how much our revenue budget is, and then our expenditure budget is a little more than that. What that difference is, even though we did a balanced budget, what that difference is the carryover that we had in our funds. We're assuming that we're going to spend all of our money. We budgeted to spend everything. Normally that doesn't happen, but we're budgeting for that. So that's the differences there. And any questions on that page? Okay. Then we've got our monthly operating fund balance, and that's your funds 1, 2, and 4. So it's the green one, and we are, going up. We're above. It's projecting that in August of each year we have, gradually went up in our fund balance. So, any questions there? And then we've got the statement of changes in the activity funds. That's our activity funds that are out of the school, and that's just the balances of each fund.
Getting busy, isn't it?
Yeah. And these, we do monitor these and make sure that we have them collateralized like we're supposed to.
Very good. Any questions for Ms. Harper? You did great.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, enrollment report.
Okay, so total enrollment is 3,763 students. That is down by about 80. We do know where 44 of those are, and that's in kindergarten. Did try to investigate a few other things, looked at some drops from that 11th to 12th grade year, and visited a little bit with Ms. Russell about that today. Pretty normal, but still concerning to me that many kiddos are not in 12th grade. So we'll continue to watch that, but that's where we are today.
All right, student transfer update.
Student transfer update, 5 in, 4 out. The one, it was 5 in, 3 out, and then we had one that just had not completed paperwork but had never enrolled. So as you know, some of those have never been in the district. We like when it's more in than out, and this month we are, so that's a good thing.
Any questions for Ms. Dewey?
No.
Mr. Knight, facilities report. Frisbee?
Prop comedy.
We like that.
Got a whole gig. So I thought tonight, since we have on the action items tonight, to talk about something for the big top, to kind of go back through that whole mess that we got into. Of course, you all know we have to complete that transitional plan. We have till February 1st, 2030 to get that done. Every year you have to make progress. Last year we made progress because we hired a fire engineer that came in, told us what he felt needed to be done. This year's progress would be putting in the smoke detectors. If you want to complete that project, we will have to have an architect for it. I did call, it's going to be over $100,000. Facilities requires us to have an architect. So I want to just kind of throw that out there and see if you guys want to get this done in 2 years, 4 years, as soon as possible, just for thoughts. I was also told that because when we were trying to pass the millage, we hired, or the board hired an architect, hired a construction manager. As long as you continue to use those two, there's no, we don't have to do any extra work. If we don't, and you all want to change, we have to do advertising and interviews to repick those. So that would probably take you 2 or 3 more months too.
And cost more money. Cost a lot of money.
Maybe.
Well, to interview, advertise.
Yeah.
All that adds up.
Yeah.
Well, the people we've already used are familiar with the project.
They're both very familiar with the
If you
project.
go outside, that's for lack of a better term,
Mhm.
you go outside, then part of that cost is gonna be them coming in and evaluating and get up to date. I mean, time is money, and they're gonna be spending considerable time just to get updated.
And I'll tell you, from all the experiences I've had with this, I keep running into people that think they wanna do it, and they go up there and go, I want no part of it. And I did call
Okay.
both of the companies we used, and they're willing to tackle that project if we wanted to.
And to be clear, that's not for the smoke detectors, that's for the standpipe sprinkler
Yeah, your
system that we need,
standpipe,
right?
you're gonna have to do some work to make sure that those roofs underneath the roof structurally can hold the extra walkways and then lights.
Okay.
The standpipes, we'll also have to have some engineering for them,
So
and that'll be your biggest.
we need
price.
an architect to put walkways, additional walkways and lighting in there? Is that-
You need an architect because the facilities division says it's over $100,000, so you have to have an architect.
And it's not broken out, hey, smoke detectors are this.
No, I
It's-
tried.
It's a composite.
I tried, and they said during the audit we did.
Okay.
Because I did, I thought, well, we'll do lights one year,
Mhm.
we'll do this, because I don't think we need an architect. You might need an engineer to make sure something's structural that you can put the walkways on, but, in their eyes, it is a total project.
So just to do the fire alarm or the smoke detectors this year, we need the architect?
No,
Okay.
no. When we get into the, this part
Building.
where it's gonna hit 100,
Gotcha.
and
The support.
no one wants to tell me, because they're always scared to tell me how much this is gonna be, but
Yeah.
your standpipes, what I'm getting is gonna be 6 figures on its own.
Oh, gosh, the walkway projected for Hackler was 115. This is gonna be
Yeah, that's why I'm
mid
not,
six
that's why I'm not
figures.
gonna tell you how much, it is, since I messed that one up so bad. So,
A walkway from here to that doorway was 115,000, so it'll be six figures.
yeah, and I don't know, did that
Minimum.
walkways have to be made of wood? Do they need to be steel? Do they need to be?
Yeah, it's gonna
you
be a
know,
lot.
So,
Play fire rated.
When you say we have to do something every year, what is that, like, how much? Because, and let me give you my thoughts here. So we have till 2030 to get this done. I'm optimistic that we can find a plan that this community will support to replace that structure. So if we go spend 500,000 on standpipes, I don't expect it to have a very long lifespan. I don't think the standpipes and fire suppression is actually going to make an iota bit of difference in the safety of our students and staff. So that would be one that I want to kick down the can as far as we can towards that 2030 deadline in the hopes that we have something new coming along from that. Smoke detectors, absolutely. Hey, let's get that up there so we can get people out of the building as fast as we can as soon as something's going on. So how far can you meter this out so where we're satisfying the divisions, we're doing something every year, but also putting off the really big expenditures to see if we can get a plan for 26 that the community can get behind?
I wouldn't say that they actually have a metric of what they
Okay.
consider progress. I think your next cheapest thing you could do would be lights.
Okay.
Because maybe we just go up there and put some floodlights in instead of actually, your
After the fire
walkways.
alarm. After the fire alarm.
Yes, yeah, for sure. It's
Life safety comes first, always.
So smoke alarms happening this year. Yeah, I get behind that. That lets people know as soon as something's smoldering, we get out of the building, and now it's not a safety issue to our staff and students. But the active, hey, putting standpipes up there, people going up there, I doubt that's actually going to happen. But
So the standpipes are for the walkways?
No, so, since that structure cannot hold up sprinklers, and that's what
Okay.
they would like to have, kind of a compromise has been, you would run pipes up there that already have hoses connected to them, so that if the fire department had to go up, they didn't have to drag a hose, all the way through. There's not a way to drag a hose up there anyway,
so instead of having a sprinkler hanging from the roof, which the roof
Right,
can't
it goes
support
with
it,
the standpipes.
they put pipes up
So
and they have
what
hoses
you're
up there.
discussing is the walkways, you think we need to put,
Not even the well, as much of that as we can, that's not connected to the safety of getting our students and staff out of there, right? That's
I
the
just
key.
wanna also think about the safety of any firefighter that had to get up there, and the fact that they don't wanna go up there because there's not walkways. I don't wanna kick it so far down the can, because on average, it's taken Mountain Home 6 to 9 tries to get a millage to pass.
Sure.
And so I would hate for there to be what we don't want to happen, And then you do have some of our local firefighters. We gotta look at the whole project.
We do.
We do wanna keep our students safe, and we do wanna save money. But I also don't want it to where our firefighters can't get up there and do what they need to do. I think the lights will help them be able to, but that's a big deal.
If we get all the students and staff out of there, I hope no firefighter's gonna put themselves in harm's way trying to put out a fire, walking on those old roofs up in the big top. You know, my
Now, with
feel is.
the biggest part of what
is
you
let
just
it
said
burn
is
if
if.
it's to that point.
If, yes.
Right.
And I get it, kick it, but I don't want us to wait so long, because we don't have a guarantee that a millage is gonna pass
Right.
next year
Sure.
or the next. I don't, millages are hard and times are hard right now.
And if that's the direction we need to go, we need to plan for that now.
Well, and that's, we have, what, another 6 years, just shy of 6 years to get this accomplished. So I'm not saying that, hey, if we can't get a millage passed, we can't get a new plan, by all means, we need to keep planning for this, but hey, let's backdate of when we need to get stuff done.
And I do also think that when you're talking about progress, I do think that if you were to come in and say, we want to do another millage, that is counting as
Counts as progress.
Progress. Mhm.
Because you're attempting to fix the problem.
That's good.
So,
I mean, I just don't wanna spend 600, 800,000 on something that we're gonna turn around in a few years and tear down, right? I mean, it's
Mhm.
just, it seems like a colossal waste of local tax dollars to me, to do that, so.
Well,
Yeah.
I won't say anything right now.
Yeah, let's have plenty of time to think about it. So.
Architect. What are our thoughts on architect,
Okay.
construction manager? Where are y'all landing?
That could also be progress too.
That could be progress,
That
just
could be
getting
your
those
next.
people on.
I
Next
feel like
thing to do is
the
have-
architect and construction manager that we have used in the past has everything they need to move forward. Like, I'm comfortable moving forward with those people.
Okay. Now, you all would still have to vote
Mhm.
when we came in with a contract.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, correct.
So it's not like we're just approving them. We didn't come in and say, this is their fees and we
So-
could approve it.
That discussion happened before I was on the board, right? One of the more common questions I've had from concerned constituents is, hey, why did we pick the construction manager we picked, et cetera? I've had some offline conversations with you, and I know why.
Yep.
Can you elaborate so people can understand, people here, if anyone's watching, on why we picked
I think
Gregory?
one of the biggest reasons we did that was because of problems that happened in Hackler.
Okay.
And local companies who wanted to get bids and felt that they earned the bids getting pushed out for their friends in different places. And, I've heard everything from, I know that they may have bid lower, but they changed ordered you so much. So, one, to try to keep some money local, a majority of us to try to keep.
So he's the only local guy, is that correct? That's
To do that,
to
a
do a
project
project
that
of that
size.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we also have a very good relationship with him. That company helps us out a lot. And I will tell you that during the whole millage and all of that, we didn't pay a dime. Now, the architects, we paid
Sure.
plenty,
Of course.
plenty
Yes.
too. But we never paid a dime for that much work and going back and forth and coming here and meeting us and doing a lot of, a lot of work behind the scenes. So that makes me really comfortable with going forward.
And some of these other big construction managers out there, Nabe Holtz and some of the other ones we've seen that are at board or school board association meetings, et cetera, they are not local. They tend to charge more, was my understanding, than what Gregory and Company was, and they may not have as good of an end product.
No, and we worked really hard before we hired. I don't remember how many schools I called that are doing construction projects and pulled all of their contracts. And he honored that pretty good price. Even going through and saying, well, this one's lower, but here's all of the things that they are going to require us to pay that actually made them higher. So we were very comfortable with the price.
Okay, cool, thank you.
Any more questions for Mr. Knight? You gonna show us something
No, it's later.
later? Oh, you're just leaving it there
Actually,
for us to look?
He's next.
Yeah,
Yes.
you might as well stay there.
Okay.
Okay, so we will move to board action items. Mr. Knight to request to approve high school cafeteria.
Oh, my cafeteria, hang on, I need to.
Tables.
Okay, so, you've all seen the cafeteria tables, we know they are a nightmare and should have been replaced a long time ago. We always have a reason that we push it off and feel like now is the time we need to do it. This is a very hard thing to bid. I've never bid anything like this because it'd be kind of like if you wanted to buy a couch, you go, that's the couch I want, and I say, well, only that person sells that couch. So I put an RFP out with the, actually the plan of that area and said, send us some ideas. So we had multiple companies, I think we had about 5, send us multiple ideas for what we thought would look, the way that would work. So we went through them all, and as you can see, I kind of did a rubric, and the reason I did a rubric is that's the way we have to do it with E-rate. Make sure the price is the most important, go through the quality, have you used, and we feel like there was a tie between the lowest price and next to highest, I believe, okay? This is what I brought you. This is the lowest, this hollow piece of plastic. So that's why I wanted you to know we did not want to go with that. We feel like the people that we picked, that company, it's a 15-year warranty, the taxes are included, delivery and installations included. It's got about a 6 to 8 weeks lead time. We also felt like they're nice looking but generic enough so that if you got a millage, you could take them to another school. So we didn't go crazy trying to make them, only fit that area. I'm asking you that you approve bidder number 4 in the amount of $129,434.26.
I make a motion that we approve the high school cafeteria purchase as presented. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Jason?
How many tables are we actually looking at?
I don't have the numbers.
I saw the student
It's for
count.
500 kids. I'll show you a picture of it. It's like about 37, 38. And then there are some small tables around the side. You want to see a picture of it?
Sure.
White top, brown top?
Gray?
Gray.
Yeah.
A lot like the
Yeah,
generic.
great.
Does this come out of
Thank you.
operating?
I'm going to try to take it out of
Yeah.
building fund.
What do you think?
We've never done
Shall I see
tables
that?
before, but I feel like between doing the floors this year, painting and stuff, it's like a remodel, so it's a.
Any other discussion?
One of my first questions was just, hey, if there's something following on, a new cafeteria coming, can we move them? So you answered that question.
I feel like, I don't know where they would go, I'm sure we have a great place for them, and like I said,
Sure.
I feel like they are generic enough that
Yep.
they're gonna match. Because, a lot of people bid booths and,
Yeah.
which look great, which
Mhm.
maybe when you get a new school, that's what you wanna put in it.
This looks good to me. Yeah, and those tables, they have to get replaced. I know y'all tried to patch them and fix them here and there, and it's just, it's awful. So the folks who know
It's
they're
embarrassing.
awful.
It's
It
not
really
what
is.
we
It is
represent.
embarrassing.
No,
Use
it's just,
the plastic.
It really is.
all right, all in favor? Unanimous. Thank you, Mr. Knight. Request to approve fire alarm system.
Okay, so, continuing with the facility report, one of the things that the engineer and the fire marshal want us to do is to get up there and do, right now what's up there is a single laser. He wants more smoke detection to try to make sure that we can get everybody out as early as possible. You had 2 bidders on that one. One was quite a bit lower. I did send those to the fire marshal. He wrote us a letter attached there saying that he completely approves that lowest bidders and the way that they would like to complete that project. So, can't tell you when they're going to be in, but as soon as they come in, he said within 1 or 2 weeks, they start installing them. So, Recommending that you approve the purchase and installation of the new smoke detection system at a price of $22,747.27.
Move the board approve the recommendation.
A motion by Neil and a second by Miss Molly. Any discussion?
Is it a local company?
Yes,
Did they give you a warranty on it?
I did not ask, sorry.
We'll get that question answered.
Just
I'm
coming
sure.
out of the building fund.
You know, I'll point out too, for folks that are concerned about it, from Mr. Free's letter that he sent us, the interim fire marshal last year, you know, he voted in there that the current structure does not appear to present a danger to staff and students to occupy, right?
Correct.
So it's not like we've been neglect, but I fully am on board with, this is something that can give us advance notice, better advance notice, to even better get folks out of the building if something starts smoldering up there. So, this is one of those that I say, yes, hey, let's get done ASAP. So I'm all on board with that.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you,
Thank you.
Mr. Knight.
Thank you, Chris.
Ms. Harper, request to approve budget adjustment.
Welcome back.
Okay, so we brought the budget to you last month, and you approved our proposal. And since then, you know, we had to close out the year, and then, you know, they've given us different, our allocations have changed. So we have submitted the adjustments, and all of the amounts in blue are the ones that we changed. The ones in salaries are adjustments due to us moving some things around, because we, the ESSER money is gone. We had to move some of those salaries into other areas. So we did some adjusting there. And then that's, most of the adjustments were due to the salaries moving around on the first page. And then on the next page, the amounts changed in the building fund because we did the transfer. So your beginning balance is different there. And then in the Fund 6s, which are your federal funds, those are due to either us getting a new grant or us getting, spending the remaining that we had in a grant. And then for food service, we compared what we submitted to you all in August, and we decided to add another $200,000 to that budget because we thought we came in low compared to the expenses from the prior years. So that is what that is. And then the other sheets are, if you look at the annual financial report that says cycle 9 on it, that is our final that was submitted to the state. That's your final numbers for the fiscal year 23-24. And that's with all of the moving around we did with the building fund and all of that. And then the other annual financial report, we didn't have this one done when I first put it on there, but we got it done. And so we put it in there, and that's our cycle 1. And that's the one that has our budget for this year in it. So this is the budget that we're asking y'all to approve, and this is what will be submitted for cycle 1. And if you'll notice on that cycle 1, when you're looking at the budget, the reason why our budget is lower than what our beginning, or what our ending balance was, is because of our carryovers. So because we're budgeting again to spend everything, and you know, normally that doesn't happen, but you know, that's the way we're wanting to budget. So any questions?
I am going to. Any questions for Ms. Harper before I make a statement? Nope.
Do we need to
Okay.
make a motion first?
Yes.
I make a motion, we approve the budget adjustment as presented.
Second.
I have a motion by Scott, second by Neil. Discussion? Will this be available on the website for constituents to look at so they don't think we're doing something tricky by not being able to show it online?
Yes,
It's already there.
it's attached
It's already
to the,
online.
yeah,
So
it's
if
attached to the.
out there in
It's already there.
outer space, if you would like to see what we see, it is on our website. Thank you.
And if anyone would like to see more details, I'd be happy to share.
Numbers
the
is your
numbers.
game. You love the numbers
Miss
game.
Harper.
All right, all in favor? Unanimous. Thank you, Ms. Harper. Mr. Rose, request to approve bus purchases. Purchases?
Purchases.
Purchases. How you
Oh,
doing?
so excited.
How are you?
I'm good.
You're so
Well,
excited.
It's been a great
reading
week.
glasses tonight.
Nice.
So, I have my hearing aids.
Good. Your teeth, everything's in.
All right. Always fun, right?
Yeah.
All right, so, yeah, transportation, the background story, you know, we're always trying to maintain our fleet, keep it up to date, get good equipment in place for the safety and dependability of transportation for our students. So rationale on this one, on the couple, we got two here we're looking at. Bus fleet travels somewhere around the ballpark of 2,000 miles each run a day. Right, yeah, big
Yeah.
district, a lot of buses. This purchase would allow us to replace a higher mileage bus, essentially keep that cycle going. You guys know how that works, just like you're probably doing your own personal cars. So we've purchased these kind of buses in the past, and they've performed well for us. Mr. Belknap had located this bus, as Ms. Dewey and I were talking, we were talking about purchasing a brand new bus. We did get some bids on that. It's unbelievable now what they cost. However, when he was looking, back when the previous board meeting, we found a bus to replace the original one we had tried to get for Guy Berry, remember, that had timed out of the grant. Same company, I believe, yeah, he stumbled across, they had a set of nice used buses, slightly used, from a previous lease. So he talked about them, I said, hey, we're not gonna talk about it, let's go look at it. He jumped in the truck next day and ran up. Super nice bus, I got him here if we need to ask any questions on it, but it's a 22 model, low mileage, only 23,000 miles. X condition has a very nice REI camera system equipped already on it, backup camera along with some other things, and it will be spec'd out to meet Arkansas standards. I asked him, I said, where does this bus come from? He said, well, I'm always hesitant of that, so he did find out the origin. It was from just a little bit south of us, northern Louisiana, right at the top. So it hadn't been a hurricane, no, it hadn't been up in north, we had the salt damage. So that was, he had talked about how in the past, I think a long time ago, back, I guess when you were a mechanic, they had bought some buses used and come from up north and had a lot of problems with replacing
Salt.
the floors in them. So he'd already checked all that out, does a great job checking all that. So that's that one, and then we'll read about the other one. So if you recall back last year, about this time, the board approved to purchase a new bus for Guy Berry through that grant. And y'all know that story, just reminded you about that. That one didn't work out. We replaced it with one that was already ready. This one was going to time out because of the grant. So we still need a bus in the original fleet. So this is nothing to do with Guy Berry at this point. We still need one of these shorter buses in our fleet. We have a ton of activity trips that require small groups, and that's really the main need for this particular bus. Paul said, I know yesterday he was begging me to use the new bus we got for Guy Berry, and I wouldn't let him, but because he can't. He had a trip of 16? Was it a tennis trip? So he had to take one of our nice route buses off the route to send because there was no other available that it was reliable to get him to that destination for that group. So anyhow, that's the kind of the ideas we're looking at. Maybe it also used for a little overflow if we had too many kids on one particular bus a day. We need to run out there and grab a few kids off the bus, which he occasionally has to do in the afternoons. So things like that, but primarily looking for it as a activity type bus for that. So the rationale, the recommendation is to approve the purchase of used 2022 Ford Bluebird Vision 77 passenger gasoline route bus. with 23,000 miles equipped with a camera system in the amount of $102,900. And number two, a new 2024 Chevy 30-passenger Microbird gasoline bus in the amount of $108,335.
Very good. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion, we approve the recommendation as presented. Second.
Have a motion from Jason, a second from Daniel. Any discussion?
It's a little off, I suppose. One of these is a Ford and the other one is a Chevrolet. I don't know how many parts we stock for buses in-house.
I'd like to have Paul to come up. He's asking
Yeah.
about stocking parts, since this is a Ford and Chevy. I know we do have some Chevys in some of our
We
short
do,
ones,
I
right?
mean, but all this stuff for the small bus, it's just Harold or O'Reilly,
Okay.
somebody, I mean, it's all local pickup stuff.
So it's nothing we would have to wait to have shipped in, or probably not.
No,
Okay.
probably not, no.
Good question, though.
So I know we run 2,000 miles a day on our buses. I mean, I could do the math on how many days, how many school days we have and how many buses run our routes, but for the 23,000 miles, how many years of, I mean, do we do that in a year on a typical bus, or is this 2 years worth of use? Meaning, are we buying a 2-year-old bus or a 3-year-old bus, or how will we use this bus? Like, how many miles does our average bus get per year on it?
On my route bus, I usually do about 20,000 a year.
Okay, so it's about 1 year's, maybe a little bit more worth of use on it there.
But some have longer routes, so
Some have
you
longer
can't
routes.
really
My
average
route
that.
is
Got a pretty
longer.
route.
It's
Yeah.
pretty long.
So we'd have to use an average rate, so a year and a half worth maybe, if you use an average. Okay.
This is a very nice bus, and I actually have a video, I wish I could show it to you guys, of the bus, so
Okay.
it is very nice.
And it's already equipped with
It's
cameras.
very, very equipped. I mean, it's got
That's
4
nice.
cameras, it has backup cameras, this high-tech camera system,
Yeah, it's got more
16
than any other
cameras.
buses,
Oh, wow.
camera
Yeah.
systems we
Yeah.
got.
It's got a one-piece Steve Prem 4 in it. It's a very nice bus.
So do y'all fight over it? Like, who's gonna get it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, boy, we got it on the stop sign.
Yes, on the
Oh.
On the stop sign. Run a stop, we'd have a video,
Oh, wow, nice. That's a
Wow.
good idea.
That's good.
which is genius.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a very, very nice bus.
Roughly how many buses are in district?
How many do we have?
Yeah.
58.
58.
If I remember last year, we deferred purchasing several buses last year.
We initially budgeted for 2.
And then we turned it off because we were budget concerns and trying to make sure everything was correct. So we've got to continually replace buses, or else it'll come back and bite us at some point in the future. You don't want to kick that can down the road. So this sounds like a fantastic deal for the district, so.
Well, we'll say too, that the one comparable that Paul was around 160,000, or in that ballpark, 155, 160. But that one was actually supposed to have been 112,900. They had a typo in the quote they sent to us. They said he would honor the 102.
Okay.
Wow, nice.
So,
Love a
Yeah.
good time.
Expensive typo.
Good strong arm.
in my opinion, that's what he told him, so I'll take it.
All right. Any other discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
You can stay up there, Mr. Rose, and request to approve update to transportation schedule.
Well, Paul does a great job, though. I just want to give him a shout out.
Yes, thank you,
Fine
Paul.
job running
Been here a long time, haven't
transportation
you?
system.
Thank you.
It's good to work with, learning a lot from him. All right, on the next one, so you guys had approved this new salary schedule back in August. We stumbled across some things, we just left out some wording, no changes to anything, we just left out some wording. And document shared with me, it had a blurb on there that was on the previous salary schedule, and the bottom was talking about activity trip drivers, hourly rates, just some verbiage is all it was. Nothing's gonna change on any of the budget predictions or anything we did. So, you guys approved it back on August 15th of 24. Upon working with employees regarding changes, discovered a clarification was needed on the transportation schedule as well as the hourly daily rate schedule. And so the rationale is for clarification regarding activity trips. The following wording should be added to the bottom of the schedule 25P/25Q. Activity trip drivers pay their hourly rate or sub-activity rate of $15 per hour for non-contracted bus drivers. That's a 14-hour daily max. And then the hourly rate for bus driver training should be updated to read $15 an hour on the daily rate schedule.
All right.
I move the board approve the wording corrections.
Second.
Have a motion by Neil, a second by Molly. Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you, Mr. Rose.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you guys.
Miss Judy Lawrence, request to approve purchases over $20,000.
Okay.
Thank you,
we-
Paul.
We are gonna look at some vendor payments, like she said, over $20,000. So board, you'll see the background board policy requires board action for these purchases. With the passage of the LEARNS Act, Arkansas is continuing its commitment to supporting academic outcomes of students statewide. The Arkansas Division of Elementary and Secondary Education launched the Arkansas High Impact Tutoring Grant Program last year. We participated in this program last year, you'll remember that. Providing additional instructional support to students through high impact tutoring. The district was notified on August the 23rd, 2024, that it will once again receive grant funding for high impact tutoring for the 24-25 school year. And we did have, our administrators did collaborate on the choices that we made for the tutoring grant. And you'll see listed there the choices that we made that were approved by the State Department. Waterford is our vendor that is used at the kindergarten. We partnered with them last year at the kindergarten. Book Nook, you'll see that's for our buildings, Nelson, Wilkes, and Hackler. So grades 1 through 5 take part in Book Nook. And that's another digital tutoring program, but it's with real live tutors. So the students are grouped based on data markers that we chose. And it's a 1-to-4, 1 tutor per 4 student ratio. You can't have more than 4 students with a tutor. They do keep their same tutor throughout the weeks of tutoring. They don't change around. The company is very careful to have consistency with the placement in the groups. If their data changes throughout the year, we have the autonomy to make changes, but they will not be the ones that the adults will stay. So we are excited to partner with them again. We actually have a good relationship with those vendors. We've spent a lot of time with them. On to college, it's serving our high school students for ACT prep. There's a program for that. And then the ICEV, you'll see that's a renewal for our CT instructional. It's basically an assessment platform for certifications. And you'll see it's a resource that is based on state and national standards and includes industry certification opportunities for students. So that is also one we're familiar with. So none of these are new to us. We felt like they were, all of these vendors were good choices for our students. Down cost for each one, and that is, as you know from the grant, it'll be reimbursable at the end of the year. We do have some requirements we have to turn in as far as data markers along the year, and there's some reporting we have to do with the State Department that the administrators partner together to get all that information turned in. And so they have points throughout the year we have some compliance pieces there.
Okay.
Any questions?
Do I have a motion?
Make a motion, we approve the recommendation as presented. Second.
I have a motion by Jason and a second by Daniel. Any discussion from us?
This is all reimbursable.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Very good. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you, Ms. Lawrence. Request to approve contract services agreement.
Okay, this is kind of a continued piece that goes along with you'll see on this that the Mountain Home Public Schools proposes the attached partnership for the 24-25 school year with Mrs. Kay Hollingsworth. Mrs. Hollingsworth will provide on-site tutoring through the HIT grant to students of the district, primarily focused at Mountain Home Kindergarten. She did partner with them last year, and we did write this piece specifically into our grant so we could be reimbursed for this amount. I didn't mention this with Book Nook. We also wrote into the grant to have some adult support for one adult per building, adult support for the Book Nook program, and that is written into our grant specifically for reimbursement as well. This one is the contract agreement for, specifically for K Hollingsworth. And you'll see the agreement as part of that.
Thank you. Okay.
Make a motion to approve the attached academic service
Second.
agreement.
I have a motion by Daniel, a second by Neil. Any discussion?
How many hours?
10 a week for
Okay.
Ms. Hollingsworth.
I'm just gonna say, I know this HIT grant took a lot of doing to get, and
Yes, it did.
here's where we're seeing the impact.
Yes.
And because of the work that the teachers and staff went and put in to go get that grant, we're able to sit here and say, hey, let's do this for our students, and this is the right thing. So I'll just point out right now, while it's right here in front of us, what a valuable thing this HIT grant is. So great job going to get that.
It was harder to get this year, I
It
will
was.
say, because they offered it so late in the school year last year. A lot of districts chose not to participate. We decided, our reasoning, we wanted to kind of test out the vendors because we foresaw we would probably be able to get it again. And this let us almost pilot the vendors to make sure that we thought they were good enough to use. So when we received it again, we were able to.
I have not told Ms. Lawrence this, but I heard, just a brag, a shout out to our folks that worked on this, that there was almost over $30 million was requested.
Wow.
At the state level this year, and 20 million was awarded. So for us to get the amount we got, well
Very
done.
good. Well done.
Yeah, we were excited.
Good and faithful servants.
We feel good about it.
Okay. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you, Ms. Lawrence. Ms. Becca Camp, request to approve contract services agreement, ESOL.
Hi. So this is our English language learning students. We have 22 brand new ESL students to our district this
Wow.
year. And of those 22, almost half of them are first time in the United States. So law says that within the first 30 days of their enrollment, that there's a screener that is conducted for those kiddos. It is a 1-to-1 screener, and depending on English fluency, takes between an hour to an hour and a half per kid. So with I added it up sitting back here, with the 1,776 universal screeners that have been done in the first 30 days of school for our regular population, there's not enough for me to go around. So this is just a proposal to contract with Marsha Partney, who has been trained in this, who is the smartest person I know on this world. She is able to sit down with these kids. I can hand it to her. These screeners are completed. They're completed with fidelity, and we're able to move forward with giving these kids the placement that they need.
Very good. I have a motion.
I make a motion, we approve the contract services agreement for the ESOL as presented.
Second.
Have a motion by Scott and a second by Molly. Any discussion?
Yeah, can you run through those numbers one more
Sure.
time?
We have 22 new ESL students to the district this year. I didn't say this number, but today we have 78 currently served ESL students in the district, ranging from
Wow.
K to grade 12. I do know when we hit the 100 mark is when the state starts looking at funding for us for these kiddos. So those numbers, about 10 of those kids are directly first time in the United States. Not all from the same country, which is pretty exciting. And then 1,776 universal screeners for our
That's the number I missed when you went through the first time.
K3 students.
Okay, thank
K3.
you.
Wow. I
Well,
missed
so
that
the
part.
universal screener is K3 for literacy and K2 for math. They like to keep things interesting.
Yeah.
I'd say.
All right.
How many of those students don't speak any English?
A lot.
How does that work?
I've learned how to use Google Translate.
Okay.
We have a gentleman at the high school this year, he's a senior, came to us last year from China, spoke 0 English, actually was killing the battery on his phone because he was trying to do translation, so I just sat down with him. We have some earbuds that are instant translation devices, which if you go get your nails done, just let me know. But I was able to test them out with Sean to be able to say, hey, how is this? And he said, well, your Chinese is okay. So the translation that I'm depending on Google, some of our brand new kids speak Gujarati. I think I'm saying that right. I don't know what that language is other than it looks like noodles. So truly is not a English phoneme-based language, so we depend on Google Translate. I have some contacts with the ESL department at the state that they can give us some different tips and some interventions. But it's really just classroom teachers plugging in and doing frequent comprehension checks and immersing these kids in English and hoping for the best.
Yeah. Are they succeeding?
A lot of them
Grade
are.
level?
The kids who are coming to us at the secondary level are struggling a little more, but if you think about an English teacher, a second grade English teacher is going to be providing direct English instruction to her second grade class. We're an 11th grade English teacher. That's a lot more difficult. So I actually talked to Mary Beth today about a kid looking at some different things we can do with our RTI time, our WIN time, pulling them in, maybe even seeing if people from Literacy Council can come in. We have Senor Rodriguez, who is obviously fluent in Spanish, and then Tracy, one of our counselors at the high school, is ESL certified, so she knows a lot more about this than I do. Those kids were in an RTI session with those people all year last year. So we're plugging and pulling and doing what we can. This part with Marcia just helps to get that data that we can then take back to the teachers and say, here's where this kid is, here are some things they can do, here are some ways you can stretch that kid.
Parents, are they here on a transfer or?
It varies.
Families, sometimes.
So they probably can't speak either.
Some can, some can't. I've learned I go to the restaurants and talk to them, and usually there's someone there that can interpret, but sometimes not.
Okay. All right, any other discussion for Ms. Camp? All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you,
Thanks,
Ms.
guys.
Becca.
Thanks, Becca.
All right, Ms. Allison, request to approve hazard mitigation resolution.
So under the Disaster Mitigation Act of 200, that may be 2000, Ms. Cole's at 2000, got a typo there. The Federal Emergency Management Agency requires local jurisdiction to have a FEMA approved in place as a condition to apply for future federal mitigation funding. Baxter County is updating its disaster mitigation plan. Adopting the resolution for this plan will make the district eligible for grant funding if needed, including FEMA. Each school district board of directors in the county has been asked to adopt this resolution. So, adopting this resolution will allow the district to participate in opportunities for funding and assistance that are allowed under the Disaster Mitigation Act and/or FEMA if needed in the future. I recommend the adoption of the Baxter County Hazard Mitigation Plan Resolution.
I have a motion for Ms. Dewey.
Make a motion, we accept the recommendation as presented.
Second.
I have a Jason and a second from Neil. Any discussion for Ms. Dewey?
So, just, we did not go and approve this. If a tornado literally hit our building, FEMA wouldn't help us.
I have the expert here.
I'm just putting that out there because I know people are going to ask me that.
Yes.
And we have worked with Ms. Cole last year. Was it
Glad
last
you're
year
here.
we had?
2023.
We hosted.
I remember her.
We hosted the a big group from the military that did.
189 total.
Okay, so she has worked with the district in the past, and this actually is her department. So I invited her to help us. Thank you, Ms. Cole.
If you don't mind, I'm going to introduce myself to the folks that don't know me. My name's Tina Cole. I work with the Northwest Arkansas Economic Development District out of Harrison. We represent 9 counties and 72 cities in our district. We are one of 8 districts in the state that was legislatively created in 1968. So we are the best kept secret in the state of Arkansas, I promise you. But my job is a community development coordinator, and that's my title. And what I do is I write grants for the 9 counties and 72 cities for community projects. The splash pad in Yellville is one of my projects.
That's a good
Denton
one.
Ferry Bridge replacement, we just finished that.
Yeah.
Done opening in April. We done the sewer extension line going out towards Walmart for the city of Mount Home. We've done several park grants for the city. So, we do a lot over here. And A little more history, I worked for Baxter County for 7 years
Wow.
as the safety coordinator and the deputy director of the Office of
How long
Emergency
ago?
Management. From 2009 to
That wasn't very long
2015.
ago. That's right.
You were there when I was.
That's
on.
how I
Yeah.
remember.
Jim Sershula was my
Yeah.
So you work with Jim.
Yep. And so I want to personally thank you for all that you did for our military mission in 2023. It's very successful. It didn't quite work out the way we started. We just housed the military here at the junior high, and the services were provided over at Yaleville. But we served 1,500 people, over 32,000 procedures, $716,000 fair market value of the services that were provided there. And their main goal in their IRT medical missions is for training for their military personnel. And they had over 22,000 hours of training
Wow.
on the 2023 missions. Never happened before. So
That's a lot.
you guys were a major part of that being successful, and thank you. Putting in an application for 2026. But part of what you were asking, somebody was
Daniel.
asking, okay, when it comes to disasters, that is a whole different animal than the mitigation plan.
Okay.
What the mitigation plan does, it gives you the opportunity to develop projects that can be mitigated so that when an event does happen, the damage is either doesn't happen or it's not as severe. The schools, their main projects is community safe rooms.
So they flipped and got that
Yes.
community safe room
Yeah,
in
and they got
Gainesville.
that through this mitigation program. And the funding typically for that is at 75-25. FEMA pays 75% of it, the school district pays 20. So it's a pretty good deal.
It is. Any other questions?
No, thanks for,
Glad
So
you
on
drove
this-
all the way.
This resolution that we're gonna vote on, the bottom paragraph of it, says Mount Home School District hereby adopts those portions of Baxter County Hazard Mitigation Plan relating to and protecting its jurisdictional areas against all hazards as developed by the Hazard Mitigation Plan for the purpose of building a safer community by reducing vulnerabilities such as events. My question is, what is this committing us to doing?
Nothing.
I know we're doing some stuff, so when you get into this document that's 193 pages, 110, page 110, it kind of lists Mount Home School District. My biggest things I look at are, hey, the community safe rooms are expensive, and generators, we're already working on a lot of the stuff that's here, so what?
You don't have to do any of that.
Okay.
That is just a plan, that items or projects that you would like to do and that could potentially need federal funding.
Okay. So we're not,
You're
we're not
not
committing
committed.
ourselves to building anything, excuse me, buying anything. Okay, thank you.
Not tied to anything. This just covers us in case we do want to. Very good.
It's just a plan.
So in the future, if we
So,
were interested.
let's just say if we're interested in getting funds for a safe building within a new school, per se, or separate from the school, we would have to come and probably visit you a little bit and figure out how to do this.
You just put in an application for a school safe room, ask for billions of dollars.
Careful on the B. It's a little lower than that.
need an M.
Yeah, or
Last one I
10,000.
applied for and got awarded was 1.2 million, and it was like 2 years before we got the award and put out for bid, and it had jumped to 3 times.
Oh, I can
what we
imagine.
Wow.
estimated.
But they got locked in though, right? Or did they have to come up with,
So they had to de-obligate the
Oh,
grant
wow.
and
Gainesville?
work on reapplying.
Hmm. Good old government.
Yes.
Gotta love 'em. Okay, any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Thanks. Be careful driving home. All in favor? It has been adopted. Thank you, Ms. Dewey.
Thank you all. Jay, request to approve the policy update to 1.14. So as you know, we often look at policy and consider updates to policy. One of the things we have, or I have thought about, was the fact that our board agendas generally don't go to press until Tuesday evening or Wednesday morning. That's generally. Our current policy states that if someone wants to speak on something, it's 5 days. you have to give 5 days notice. The change that I am presenting to you today would be that you would only need 24 hours basically before the close of business the day before the meeting, which means that folks would have time to look at the agenda and decide if they do want to ask to be put on the agenda to speak concerning something maybe that is on there. So the change would be to policy 1.14. It is to letter 3 or number 3. The request to appear before the board must be made in writing to the superintendent and received by the superintendent before the close of the day before the regularly scheduled board meeting. And then you also see a change in at his discretion to add the superintendent. Verbal notification may be accepted with written to follow. And then if you look at number 4, it talks about that in extenuating circumstances, with the permission of the president at the board meeting, an individual or group may be permitted to address the board at a proper place designated. And then it says you have to follow up with a paper. There really doesn't seem to be any need for that. So I am asking to strike that part as well. So the goal here is just to make it easier. Make it easier. Make folks know what's going on earlier or when they get the agenda, and then if they want to speak to the agenda. Now, if you notice at the top of this policy, it does say 5 days for an item to be placed on the agenda. So those are two different things. Making public comment versus requesting something be placed on the agenda. That would still be 5 days. So my recommendation is that the change will decrease. The recommendation is to approve the updates to policy 1.14 as presented.
I move the board approve the recommendation.
Second.
I have a motion from Neil and a second from Daniel. Any discussion from Ms. Dewey?
One thing that and you and I
Yes, sir.
talked about this, was at his discretion, or,
Yes, sir.
and you corrected it on, I would like to challenge someone to go through and correct that verbiage on all of our policies, please.
It's throughout, yeah.
It
it's
is throughout, especially what were we talking about yesterday, is the twos. I believe that this was done, so I asked my fellow English expert, Ms. Crawford, and she pointed out that man or his is generally referring to like mankind in the Bible. It's just.
Oh, I think somebody's trying to get out of doing it.
I think the spirit of the way it was written initially is that we use he as the universal term.
So that
Okay,
challenge, we
let me
can.
rephrase this. I don't
There's
like
a lot of
that.
universal terms these days.
True, so we may have to accept that challenge, Mr. Pendergrass, but it may take a minute.
Okay, I'm
Because
sure it
it's in
will.
there a lot.
At least when we redo a specific portion of the
sir.
policy, it needs corrected.
Yes, sir.
Point taken. Any further discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you, Ms. Dewey. We have a constituent to address the board, Dr. Lewis from Harrison. Come on up to the podium, please.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Scott, I don't know you, but my father's mother last name was Booth, so I gave Scott some copies to maybe hand out to you. I wanted to read something after a while. I'm very impressed with 2 or 3 things so far that I've seen. I'm very impressed with the staff members that have made presentations to the board. They seemed very well prepared, very documented what they're saying. They backed it up with data, and that's very impressive. You don't see that all the time. 3 things that I'm very proud of. I'm very proud of the young lady that had to leave a while ago because she's freezing to death, Allison. She tried to get me not to wear shorts, but I'm doing it anyway. She is a state champion volleyball coach from Harrison several years ago. She spent 35 years as a teacher in Russian and German and English. She's the only teacher from the state of Arkansas. So I thank her for coming tonight, even though she's not here for me to say this. She's also an outstanding lady that's been married to me for 46 years. Two or three things I'm very proud of. I'm the head of the drop plan that has come all over the state of Arkansas that has literally meant billions of dollars to state police, judges, all the state workers, educational workers that are members of the teacher retirement system, and also highway and transportation. Been around for a long time. I'll be 88 years next August. I started in 1960 as a K-12 principal at Leslie, drilled in the National Guard here at Mountain Home, so I feel like I'm coming back home when I come back to Mountain Home. But one thing I think, an expert about. I think I'm an expert on Freedom of Information Act, and I hope you are too. I also think I'm an expert on teacher retirement system, and I hope some of our teachers and administrators will also be the same way. I also think I'm an expert on school law. And Allison, I'm going to leave as a courtesy to you something here that you may want to take a look at after a while. But I'm very impressed with what I'm seeing here, because I think I see in this board a group of people who want to be open with what's going on in your community here. And if you're not, I'd be the first to say to each one of you, face to face, you don't need to be on this board if you're not that way. And I believe in seeing and dealing a little bit with Allison, that I think you have a dandy superintendent of schools. I've been around a long time. I've worked in some very poor districts, and I've been working in one of the wealthiest districts in the whole country, 46,000 in Shawnee Mission. Check it out sometime. But you've got, I think, a dandy superintendent here. Allison, I've checked you out more than the part of the board has, okay? And I think I know what I'm talking about. And I'll bet you that each one of you here is very, very open to openness and transparency to let your constituents know what's going on. That's your whole job. Your whole job is really to represent what's going on here. Now, two or three things along this line, I want to say this. I looked at a copy of an agenda. This is not under this present administration, thank goodness. But I looked at a copy of an agenda here that came out, I believe, January the 5th, 2023. If I'm interpreting this correctly, the board, which I'm assuming some of you were on this board then, 2023, January 5, some of you were on the board and you went into a work session, which sounds to me like it was an executive session, closed. Folks, that's illegal. You can't do that, if I'm reading this correctly. So learn as much as you can as a board member what is involved in the Fair Freedom of Information Act. It's imperative that you do that. I know you've recently lost, I believe, if my information is correct, a lawsuit dealing with some of these issues. Don't get yourselves into that position to do that, okay? But take a look, if you will, each one of you, and look at what I'm telling you here. The board session says that they went in to discuss certain things. You can't do that. Now, if you have a copy of this, I want you to look at page 33. I want to read something to you. This probably, Lisa, is probably the most violated, in my opinion, thing in the whole state of Arkansas. With most boards, not just school boards, city councils, quorum court members, you name it. They go into executive sessions, into closed sessions, and the big topic they mention usually is personnel. I don't care what your attorneys have said or what your attorney has said, what anyone else says. Do not go into an executive session to, quote, discuss personnel. Look at page 33, the Q&A down at the very bottom. It says the purpose of considering an executive session for employment, appointment, promotion, demotion, disciplining, or resignation. of any public officer or employer. It doesn't say personnel, and you're going to get yourself in trouble, in my opinion. You or any board is going to get yourself in trouble if you continually go into an executive session to discuss personnel. Don't use that term, because you might be, Lisa, going into an executive session for the color of my socks, or the situation
shorts.
I'm wearing short pants. See, that's personnel too. But when you go into executive session, only go in for what those say. So be careful about that. I noticed when I was here before, I think 2 months ago, that you all went into the executive session somewhere back in here. There was no vote to do that. And I would recommend all of you to keep this in mind too. Every decision that you make as a board, Scott, must be ratified by a vote. Any decision you make, if you go into executive session, Molly, if you go into executive session, that's got to be ratified by a vote. Now, some attorneys will tell you not so, but I'm warning you, I guess, as a friend, as someone who's concerned. I don't want you to get into this FOIA thing again. If you come out of an executive session, do it by virtue of a vote. Every decision you make, do that by a vote, ratified by a vote. And I would encourage you too, if you're really, Lisa, all of you, if you really encourage yourself to be open and transparent, I would encourage you not to meet here every time. Mountain Home, like Harrison, is a fairly large geographical area. Why not consider meeting here, maybe on an alternate basis, and then going somewhere else out in the district the next meeting? Go to where your people are. Don't always ask them to come in to see you. Just a suggestion. I think you'll reap benefits from that if you will do that. I know it's much easier to meet here. This is where everything is. You know, your records are here or whatever. Your name tags or whatever. Your table is here, and this is great. It's a great meeting room and a wonderful meeting place. A little bit cool right now, right, for us who wear short pants. But think about going out a little bit and spoon feeding, you might say, spoon feeding your clientele. Get out where they are. I would also encourage you to, every one of you once in a while, go out to the various areas yourself. And I would encourage you to have some of your staff members, your principals maybe, to have parent roundtables. Go out into the district. Tell the people what is happening. Because many times people will not come in here. They just won't. And that's natural. I would encourage also on your agenda that everybody in your viewing audience here have a copy of that in their hands. It's very difficult for me, and because I'm almost 88 years old, but it's very difficult to read that agenda and keep up with it. Put copies of that in their hands. And do everything you can to think openness, transparency, letting your people know. That's one of the greatest things you can do.
2 more minutes. We're past 5 minutes, but I've let you go.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
And I knew I was going to, and I knew you were so kind you were going to let me.
You drove a long way.
I'm saying all of this to say to you, Mountain Home has always been sort of a special place for me because my father was from Cotter originally, Gassville in that area. I drilled over here in the National Guard for several years. Harrison and Mountain Home have always been arch enemies in athletics. I know that. My wife has loved to beat Mountain Home in volleyball, and volleyball at Mountain Home has loved to beat her also in volleyball. But this is a special place over here. It really is. And I think you know that. This is a special niche in this whole world. And I want the best for you, and if anything I have said encourages you to be a little bit open, above board, transparent with those people that you represent, then maybe, Allison, my little trip over here has brought some fruit maybe. Again, you've got a dandy, I think, if I'm any judge of horseflesh, and I don't know this lady, but I've done a lot of research on her. And I've done some research also on some of you. I'm smarter than I look. You know that? I'm smarter than I look. I've been around a long time. But you've got a lot of good things going here. And keep it up, okay? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis.
Thank you.
Yes, Scott.
Dr. Lewis, may I ask you a quick question? When I got on the board, I'd had a conversation with Mr. Dewey. He's like, hey, if there's a different way of doing something, we can do something better, hey, let's by all means do it. And I felt we've done that certainly since I've been a part of this board. So I thank you for being here tonight. I have one question maybe you could help me answer. My understanding is when no vote taken in an executive session is binding. You cannot, all votes must be done in open session.
Correct.
So if you vote to go into executive session, in your opinion, how do we ever get out of executive session? Because I can't vote inside of executive session.
I'd vote. I'd
can't,
come out.
but I'm still in executive session.
You always want to vote out here.
But I'm still in executive session.
No,
So,
you come out, and you vote in here to go out of executive session.
but people can't be here as long as I'm in executive session, so you can't vote in
Oh,
public.
you can. Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. You're safe there. You're safe.
No.
Good question, but you're safe.
Okay, my understanding was that
You go in this room to executive session, you vote before you go in it, Scott, and then when you come out, you vote right here.
so we're in front of everybody, still in executive
Yeah,
session,
yeah.
in your opinion, and then we
All your
vote.
votes must be in public, see, all your votes must be.
Which is
in
why I'm
public.
saying you can't vote in executive session in front of everybody, is my understanding.
You are correct.
And
Scott.
the
Okay,
vote
You can
inside
have-
of
wait,
executive
wait.
session doesn't count.
You can
It's
have a
not-
straw vote in executive session. You can vote in executive session,
No.
not worth a dime. No, wait a minute, not Lisa, wait a minute. Wait, you're arguing with an expert. here.
I'm not arguing, I'm just saying no.
And Dr. I'm not trying to argue it, I'm just trying to, in your
You can
opinion.
have a straw vote in that executive session,
Sure.
but it's not worth a dime. You've got to come out and vote in public.
Yes, sir. Okay, I agree, we have, which is why we come out and vote in public on our personnel. Hey, the decisions that we made in executive, we come out and vote in open session. But my understanding is, I don't understand how to get out of executive.
Well, you just come out. You just come out and you vote in public.
But we're still in executive session until we vote to come out of it, and I can't
No,
vote
you're
inside of
no,
executive
no.
session. right?
Theoretically, technically, legally, you're in executive session until you vote to come out. You're safe, you're safe.
Work session was open.
But I,
Okay, contact the Attorney
okay,
General's office.
okay, thank you, sir. I
They'll
appreciate
tell you
it.
safely. Good, it's a good question.
You
It's
want
a
to
good
take
question.
since you know it all.
Lisa, Allison, thank you so
We
much.
got one, we want to retort to one thing that you brought to our attention on January 3rd of our open
It was an
session.
open work session.
It was an
Okay.
open work session because we had an expulsion hearing of 2 students.
So that was the closed part.
So that was the closed part because you cannot have an expulsion
So-
hearing open.
Well, they requested it. You can.
They
now.
requested it to be.
But the work session was open, we just clarified.
And I would like to state that I was at
The work session.
that meeting. I walked out and they closed, I came back in.
So the minutes aren't clear, that's something we can work on though,
Mhm.
because obviously it wasn't clear.
And by the way, as Molly and Neil and Scott and Jason and Dan and Lisa, make sure how you vote is always recorded.
Mhm.
Or you don't want a citizen to ever come back and say,
Well, thank goodness we're so transparent now that we're on video.
We're a lot more
We have
transparent.
done, I think we have done, if I could
well,
just,
I know I'm gonna see all of you in heaven because you're so transparent. I know you are.
I hope so.
And thank you very much. And again, I'm very impressed with your staff members here.
Thank you,
Very
they do a
much.
great job,
Thank
they
you all
really
very
do.
much.
Thank you, Dr. Lewis.
By the way, is the press here?
Yes.
Right here.
I am so thankful that we live in a world, in a nation, where we have a free press. You all are God sent. Thank you.
Thank you, be careful going home. Okay, Board discussion.
So if we back up to what was just said, and so when you get down to the executive session, could we list this verbiage as a bullet point there under executive session so that it's, and I guess we can determine what should be declared there each time.
So I don't have to say all of that, is what you're saying?
Well,
Or
I
do
mean,
should
we're approving it. That's the first thing we do, really, is approve the agenda, right? And so you approve the agenda to go into executive session for the purposes of, that's stated in that agenda. I'm not sure whether then you'd be required to read that prior to us going in executive session, since it's been approved, okay? But yeah.
Can I chime in on that?
Sure.
All you guys have to do to legally go into an executive session is announce that you are going into an executive session. Do not cast a vote. You cannot vote back there.
Right.
You cannot, if you vote to go into executive session, then you can't vote your way out.
Correct.
Because the second you guys come back in here and sit down and vote, you just broke the law.
Right.
You're not allowed to discuss what goes on in an executive session. You're not allowed to vote in executive sessions.
Correct.
So
I will
if you
say
go
there
into-
are some attorneys, might be our school attorney, that believes you have to make a motion to go into executive session.
Motion.
And so does
We have
Marshall,
two.
who,
We have
yeah. is-
different attorneys feel different ways.
So it's an interesting
I would go
thing.
with the guy that wrote the FOIA handbook, Mr.
Well-
Toll, John Toll.
I'm just saying, there,
And all you have to do
that's
is tell the
a
public
discussion with the,
that you're
between
going into
attorneys.
executive session. You have to tell them why the executive session is happening. So you can't just say executive session, we're gone. You have to say we're going into the executive session because we have to discuss personnel. We're gonna fire somebody. Y'all go back there, do your business, you come out, and then you can, if, whatever you did in there, then you discuss it here publicly and you cast your vote.
We don't vote to go into reports. And we don't vote to go into board action items.
Correct.
I'm really struggling on why we should have to vote to go into
You
executive
don't.
sation.
You just have to tell people.
You just
why.
have to
We've
Depends
done,
on what
we've
attorney
done
you talk
that
to,
when
I'm
we-
telling
when
you.
we
The
approved
school
that
attorney
agenda, we
says
did that.
we should vote.
But how do you get out of it if you vote? You can't.
Don't we come out here to vote for the
No.
personnel? Do we vote back
You do
here?
vote for personnel out here.
But you
because
don't vote to come back out
can't
of executive
vote.
session.
No vote
can't
taken,
do
you
it.
can't
No,
vote
you're in
in executive
executive
session.
Right, but you could come out here and vote to go, come
But
out
you're
of
still
executive.
But you're still in executive
Come out here,
session.
we're
still in exec.
That's
It's like it's a
the-
loop you can't put yourself in.
You're just
You
in
can't get out of
exec, then
your
now
stuff
you're
for our
voting
stuff.
in executive
Yeah.
session.
Because
to
you're
get
in it
out of
still.
executive session. It's a,
Well, I didn't ask him that, but I did.
Well, Scott did. Scott
But we
did.
are supposed to vote, and you said Marshall,
well, Marshall said he'll
said
defend
the
either
same
way.
thing.
Marshall
and,
said he
yeah.
can defend
Now, Lucas
either.
Harden even said there were 10 top questions asked by school boards at the last training that last week. And Lucas said absolutely not. And it's just funny because
There's no
the school
set
attorney
rules.
right now is very passionate. Yes, you should.
We have two different.
Yeah, it's just two different sides.
I would love to hear the answer on then how we get out of it. So they're voting, they think we should vote to get in, but how do we get out, right? So as Dr. Lewis said, well, you come out and vote, but we're still in executive, and you
There
can't
from
do
now
a
to the
vote.
end of time.
Votes have to be in public, and we're still in executive, so you can never vote to get yourself out of executive. So I'd love to hear that answer, so if, yeah.
Well, tonight, we're going to continue doing it the way we have.
Yes, ma'am.
Until we are told by the professionals, and not an opinion, on, and I know we have the book now. We've had the book. I've had the book. I'm sure you all had the book. Is there any other board discussion? Are there other things that you might want to talk about? Do we?
Locked up.
Are we locked in?
No?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. I probably
Yes.
should talk a little bit.
Okay.
We've had an exciting week last week, right? And I've seen a lot of stuff on Facebook, and I just kind of want to address a few things. Because I've seen a lot of statements, and so instead of spending lots of time addressing all those statements, maybe I'll just make a few basic ones here. One of the most common ones that I saw, and this is just for the folks that are watching or having on record, is like people arguing, This is why our students need to have phones, right? Because of a threat to the school. And since I've been on the board, I know we've had at least 3 discussions talking about getting these things out of our students' hands in schools. And so when the parents are online going, this is why we need to have, students need to have phones in schools. This is why those boxes are such a stupid mistake, and why do we spend money on these boxes for students to put their phones in and not on safety things? They need to be addressed. We need to talk about them. I would argue that these, in the end of an incident or a threat, these are the absolute worst things that you can have. And there is loads and loads of empirical data. It's not just my opinion. Empirical data saying these are the worst things, right? In the event of an actual incident where all the parents want to text mom, or the kids are texting mom and dad, etc., they're not doing what they should be doing when that threat's happening. Right? So it slows down the proper response by students having these devices, right? If everyone's locked down behind closed doors and they're quiet and phones start ringing or beeping, you may be telling the perpetrator that there's somebody behind that locked door, right? There's no redeeming quality to having a phone in a school during an incident, right? It's far more detrimental than any redeeming reasons. We just put in all these expensive systems to keep all our exterior doors locked, right? If somebody opens them from the inside, it doesn't do you any good. So what if the person that's about to run in from his truck to the school, he's got an accomplice on the inside? Hey, he calls him, hey, I'm running in right now, open up the back door in 30 seconds or 15 seconds, right? By having these phones in schools, we may have allowed somebody just to come in our back door super easily. These things don't provide any benefit in the sense of a school threat that we've just seen this past week, right? So this is one reason why I keep saying, hey, we need to get these things out of our hands of our students at schools, right? School safety is top of our list. For those who don't know me, I've got 3 kids that are in the district. The oldest is in 2nd grade, and they're all very, very vulnerable to a school intruder or school threat, right? They can't tackle anybody, run very fast, etc. They're in the most vulnerable of ages. So I promise you, I'm watching, I'm as concerned as anybody, right? But these things don't provide any positive response in the event of a school threat or an actual incident, right? So I'm going to continue pushing to let's get these things out of the hands of our students. I'm under the understanding maybe our state legislature is going to take some action on that this year. So whether the state does it for us, whether it's us continuing to push for it, meaning this board, me on this board continuing to push for it, and that's just on the school incidents, threats, etc. There's a lot of other reasons why these shouldn't be in the hands of our students. And once again, quick thing on those boxes, those lock boxes. They're not mandatory, and they were paid for by a grant, right? So it's not that we spent the money on those boxes that we could have spent on school safety, etc. That grant was very, very specific. So that information needs to get out there as well too. I've spoken enough, Ms. House. Thank you.
Point taken. Anybody else want to touch on all the activities of last week, this week? I think, personally, our legislature should get a little more stringent on the punishment. Let the kids know that it may not even be kids, it could be AI technology, it could be from another country. What are we should they just keep doing this, or are we gonna shut the schools down? Anybody might want the day off, and we're gonna end up going to school all summer long if we keep shutting schools down. But they have to realize either you're gonna be on a list, you won't be able to vote, you're not gonna be able to fly. If you're old enough to make that kind of decision to scare people half to death and warrant your school to shut down and lose people money, then they need harder punishment, not just they're all looking for that social media buzz, but we need to talk to our legislators and see what we can get done harder. Okay, so I'm going to try this. Oh, no, you get to talk, that's right. See, I'm so nervous, I just want to get it over with.
Okay.
Ms. Dewey.
I'll just reiterate a couple of things that were said.
Please.
I wasn't planning on talking about this tonight, but This is an issue the threats are an issue across our whole country right now. And I think we just need to have continued awareness. Everyone will be taken seriously, but this is a national issue. And just disappointing that we do have social media outlets, our kids, not our kids, that students, adults, AI, whatever it is creating this kind of an uproar. And so we're just going to keep taking things very seriously, and I do want our constituents and our families to know everyone is taken seriously. But at the same time, often we can determine early that it's not from our area. And when we can do that confidently, we'll continue as normal as far as our school day, not relenting on security, but just having our kids at school.
Well, and sometimes we can't share publicly on the things that we know because you could, like getting the message at 10:45 Sunday evening.
It was late.
It was a very late night, and you can't just rush and hit a text message to every family member. It's, and then you might make the wrong move, and then you're letting things out that shouldn't get out, especially if it's for the wrong person that's making the message.
We have a fantastic police department
They were
who
on
has
it.
also worked with state police and the FBI on every single incident that we had this week, or every single shared message.
And also we need parents to parent and don't teach your children, don't repost those things, because that's part of the problem. They think, oh my gosh, I'm not going to school, I'm going to repost it. Well, there you go. Now you've just committed more into the problem at hand.
And our families did. We received several private emails, text messages to our administrators, to my email, with concerns that they saw instead of them posting it online. So thank you to those that are.
Well, and it's always the
that's
social
what we need.
media.
That's what we want. We want them to talk to us.
Yes. And the social media keyboard warriors that there's more of them that like to complain more than to kudos to the good things. We hear the good things because they actually call or text or email you and thank you. But that social media angry people they're just want to get out there and spread the barf. And it doesn't make it any easier. But we have had many, many parents thank us for all the things that's happened. So it's not doom and gloom all the time, but the social media likes to make it that way. I think we should all just boycott it. But I got to sell a grill, so I'm going to have my Facebook Marketplace.
So, another topic.
On that note,
Another
yes.
topic. Last week on the night, we went to the first drop-in with Dewey offsite. Great trip to Oakland. Ms.
Yes.
House went with me. Wonderful group of folks. Every person we talked to wants the best for our kids and our district. I'll be at central office on October the 4th for a drop-in, and I encourage our folks to stop by. I have reached out to the Beaufort Volunteer Fire Department for a November date, and we have played phone tag for 3 days. I have now gone to one of our bus drivers who actually works, who lives in Beaufort, and I'm gonna get me the fire chief's number. That's next. So we're
going to the big dog.
We're going to Beaufort. So I will need one of you all to go with me, but I hate to ask right now until I have the date, because you may have something you need to do that night. This week, we also had our first assistant principals leadership meeting here at central office. We're going to be, that's really useful because we are training up our future building principals and district administrators. So excited to be able to host them once a month, get them out of their buildings and really work on honing in on some leadership skills. Tomorrow, we host the Chamber Leadership Group all morning for their education day. We start here. We're going to junior high for aviation for them to take a look at that. Then NJROTC, and then on to the Guy Berry workshop to see the new materials and tools that they have out there. I want to give you a couple dates, and I will send these to you in an email tomorrow. But 10/7, that's the lunch meeting, 11:30, Mountain Home High School. And I've sent that to y'all several times, but just another reminder of that date. 10/15 is going to be our first job fair. This came out in our strategic plan as a way to continue to promote the district and some of our positions that are a little harder to fill. Right now, we don't need certified teachers, not today. But we are looking for bus drivers, custodians, substitute custodians. And we had a lot of luck with this when we did it a couple of years ago. So hopefully we'll have another good job fair. We'll host that, and then we'll have another one in the spring. On 10/17, that's our board meeting. That is also the night of the Education Foundation Hall of Honor dinner. Would the board be okay with moving the meeting up to 5 o'clock that night?
Yes.
Is that okay?
Is everybody yes?
All right. So we will, the meeting on 10/17 will be at 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock on 10/17, and we'll get that on our webpage. Parent-teacher conferences on 10/24. This will also be the annual report to the public in Dunbar. October's shaping up to be pretty busy. So those that can attend, that'll be great, but that will be open to anybody in the public that wants to view that report and have comment. On 12/11 and 12/13, so December 11th and December 13th, ASBA Annual Conference in Little Rock. So go ahead and get that on your calendars. And I missed one more. 10/29 is, I believe I already have 2 of you all signed up, Neil and Molly, I think. That is the Regional ASBA Conference. Starts at 6, and I have never been to one of those, so I'm looking forward to going.
Where's this one?
10/29,
Valley
Valley
Springs.
Springs. Valley Springs, 10/29. I will
One of the
send.
easier trips to
Mm-hmm.
make.
I will send
Everybody else.
all of these dates to you all tomorrow
It's hard.
in an email. And if you would like to attend, the 10/29 is really the only thing I'll need to know whether you want to attend or not.
And
Okay.
you get hours for that.
3 hours. You get 3 hours for attending that workshop. So 10/29 in Valley Springs, ASBA, we will make plans for that. I'll mention it again later, but that's all I have.
Okay,
It's
that was
official.
great. Very good. We will now adjourn to executive session to discuss hiring and retiring or resigning of school personnel. We will then reconvene in public session following this executive session to present and vote on any action arrived at in private executive session. Thank you.